single belief, everything changes. Because energy isn't something you find, it's something you generate. Momentum isn't something you hope for, it's something you create, step by step, choice by choice. And when you begin the day with movement, even 5 minutes of stretching, walking, or deep breathing, you activate systems in your body that literally signal to your brain, we're awake, alert, and ready. You don't need caffeine, you need motion. Then, when you take even 10 minutes to read, to listen to something that feeds your mind, you shift from consumption to creation. You stop reacting to the world's opinions and start forming your own. You build mental strength before stepping into the chaos. You remind yourself who you are, and more importantly, who you're becoming. And when you end that hour by setting your focus, writing down your goals, visualizing the outcomes you want, you create clarity in a world that thrives on distraction. Most people wander through the day not knowing what they're aiming for. They chase tasks, not results. They stay busy but never feel fulfilled. But you move with precision. You act with purpose. You already decided how the day would go before it even began. That's the power of owning your morning. But here's the truth that most never admit: this isn't always easy. Some mornings will be hard. You'll feel tired, unmotivated. Life will try to pull you back into old patterns. That's when you must remember, discipline is louder than motivation. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you going when nothing feels easy. And the more you show up, especially on the hard days, the stronger that discipline becomes. You're not building a morning routine, you're building a new standard, a new identity. One that no longer waits for perfect conditions, but creates power from within. One that leads even when no one is watching. One that knows success is not about intensity, it's about consistency. The reward, confidence. Not the shallow kind that fades in silence, but the real kind. The kind that's earned. The kind that comes from keeping promises to yourself. Every time you own that first hour, you prove to yourself, I am who I say I am. And that belief is the foundation for every goal, every dream, every breakthrough waiting to happen. Because no external success will ever last if it's built on internal chaos. But when you create inner order, when you align your mind, your energy, your focus, you become unstoppable. Not overnight, not without struggle, but day by day, hour by hour, you rise. So don't wait for the perfect morning. Don't wait for life to slow down or motivation to strike. Decide now. Decide that the first hour of your day is not negotiable. It's not a luxury. It's a requirement. Because you're not here to live an average life. You're not here to drift, to repeat, to settle. You're here to rise with intention, to build something better, to lead yourself forward, one morning at a time. And it starts tomorrow, before the sun is fully up, before the noise returns, before the world can get its hands on your mind. It starts in silence. It starts in strength. It starts with you. There will come a moment, maybe tomorrow, maybe a week from now, when you wake up and everything in you wants to fall back into the old rhythm. Your bed will feel too warm, your mind too tired, and the thought of movement, focus, or discipline will seem far away. That moment is everything. That moment is the fork in the road, the invisible choice point where most people go left, and a few decide to go right. It's not the easy mornings that build you. It's the ones you conquer when nothing inside you wants to rise. Because that's where your power is forged. Not in comfort, not in convenience, but in choice. Quiet, consistent, relentless choice. Every time you choose to rise when it's easier to stay down, you're not just checking a box, you're casting a vote. A vote for the kind of life you want. A vote for the kind of person you are becoming. Those votes add up. And one day the world will call you disciplined, driven, unstoppable. But you'll know it was built in the silence, in the early hours, in the unseen moments where you chose growth over ease. There's something most people never understand. Your future isn't created in the future. It's created in repetition. In the decisions you make when no one's clapping, when no one's watching, when no one's validating you. That's where greatness is born. And that's why the first hour matters so much. Because it's the only part of your day the world hasn't touched yet. It's the only space you can fully claim without interference. It's your time, your edge, your responsibility. People talk about confidence like it's something you're born with. But real confidence is built through evidence. You do hard things, you keep showing up, you stop negotiating with your excuses. That's when belief starts to rise, not as a wish, but as a certainty. You begin to trust yourself because you've seen what happens when you lead with intention. You begin to feel unstoppable because you've proven, again and again, that you don't need perfect circumstances to move. You just need commitment. This isn't about perfection. This isn't about following someone else's blueprint or achieving some imaginary ideal. This is about ownership. Ownership of your energy, your focus, your life. Because if you don't take the lead, something else will. Your past, your fears, the noise. The people who told you to stay small. If you don't choose your path, the world will hand you one that serves its interests, not yours. But once you begin choosing differently, once you take control of the beginning of your day, you unlock something most people never find: self-leadership. And that changes everything. Because when you lead yourself, you don't need to chase motivation. You don't wait for permission. You don't fear setbacks. You become the kind of person who moves forward no matter what. The kind who adapts, learns, resets, and continues. That's what the first hour trains you to be. It's not just a habit, it's a statement. Every time you wake up and step into intention, you are saying to the world, I will not be shaped by circumstance. I will shape myself. That identity shift, subtle at first, starts to echo through every area of your life. You begin to walk differently, think differently, decide differently. You stop chasing validation and start chasing purpose. You stop managing time and start directing your life. This is how you elevate. Not in sudden leaps, but in quiet, powerful ascents. You rise by showing up. You rise by aligning with who you say you are. And once you do, something incredible happens. Life begins to reflect back that new standard. You find clarity where there was confusion, energy where there was exhaustion, progress where there was stagnation. But none of it starts with the world. It starts with 1 hour. Your hour, claimed, protected, and used with power. And if you're tired of drifting, tired of living on reaction instead of creation, tired of waiting for change, this is your answer. It's not in another plan. It's not in more information. It's in the decision to begin each day with intention and fire. It's in the choice to no longer hand your mind to chaos first thing in the morning. It's in the discipline to lead yourself while the world still sleeps. You already have what it takes. The spark is already inside you. But sparks don't burn unless they're fed. And this hour, the one you've been giving away, is the fuel. You don't rise by accident, you rise by design. And you don't need a perfect life to begin. You need a decision. One made in silence. One made when it's hardest. One that says, I'm ready to own my time. I'm ready to lead myself. I'm ready to elevate my life, one morning at a time. If you want to change your life, stop chasing outcomes and start changing your patterns. Success doesn't respond to hope. It responds to structure. You don't need more potential. You need more consistency. Because the truth is, your goals aren't waiting for more motivation. They're waiting for a system you actually follow. And that system begins the moment you open your eyes. This is not about filling your morning with more things. It's not about checking off a list just to feel busy. It's about building a ritual that grounds you in power before the world gets a chance to distract you. Ritual creates rhythm, and rhythm creates results. Without it, every day is a coin toss. With it, you begin to create your own weather. You decide how you feel, how you focus, how you fight. You don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your habits. That's why your morning matters. It's not just the beginning of the day, it's the foundation for everything that follows. If your foundation is weak, the rest will collapse under pressure. But if your foundation is strong, if it's built on movement, focus, reflection, and purpose, nothing can shake you. Distractions lose their grip. Chaos loses its power. You stop reacting and start creating. You don't need hours. You need intention. Just a few moments of presence, repeated with purpose, can rewire your mind. When you move your body first thing in the morning, you activate momentum. You signal to your system, I'm here. I'm ready. You shake off the fog and connect to energy. Not borrowed energy, not temporary hype, but real, grounded strength that comes from within. Then you sharpen your mind. Feed it with thoughts that fuel your mission, not the noise that steals your clarity. What you allow into your mind in the first hour becomes the filter for your entire day. So protect it. Guard it like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. The quality of your thoughts determines the quality of your choices, and your choices repeated daily become your destiny. Reflection is not weakness, it's wisdom. Taking 5 minutes to breathe, journal, or set an intention is not wasted time. It's the blueprint for execution. Most people skip it because it's quiet, because it's not urgent. But that's exactly why it matters. The loudest things rarely lead to the deepest change. It's the quiet disciplines, the unseen steps, the small promises you keep to yourself every morning that begin to shift everything. And then comes focus, the most valuable currency in today's world. Not your money, not your time, your attention. What you focus on expands. What you ignore fades. So ask yourself, where is your focus in the first hour? Is it pulled in 1,000 directions, or is it anchored to your mission? Because every morning you either claim your focus, or the world will claim it for you. And once it's gone, the rest of the day becomes survival. But when you lock in your focus early, You walk into the world already ahead. This is how leaders are made. Not in boardrooms or stadiums, but in bedrooms and quiet corners. In silent battles against comfort and delay. In repeated acts of ownership that no one applauds but everyone eventually sees. Because when you start showing up differently, the world takes notice, even if it doesn't understand why. You start showing up more present, more certain, more disciplined. You no longer apologize for having high standards. You stop shrinking for other people's comfort. You start speaking, moving, deciding with clarity. Because you're not chasing the day, you're leading it. This is the difference between existing and evolving. You can go through life constantly reacting, constantly adjusting to what's thrown at you. Or you can build the strength to bend the world in your direction, not through force, but through alignment. And alignment begins in that first hour. When your body moves in rhythm, when your mind feeds on truth, when your attention is directed with power, you become dangerous to the excuses that once controlled you. And once you feel that shift, even once, you'll never want to go back. Because nothing compares to the confidence of being in control of your state. Nothing replaces the inner fire of knowing you decided who you'd be before the world had a chance to tell you otherwise. So if you're waiting for a sign, this is it. If you're waiting for clarity, this is it. You don't need a new plan. You need a new standard. One that begins the moment your feet touch the ground in the morning. One that says, I don't rise when I feel like it. I rise because I've decided to lead. Because nothing outside of you will ever be stronger than what's built inside of you. And that inner strength is built day by day in the silence, before the world can take a piece of you. Rise. Not when it's easy. Rise because it's right. Rise because you've wasted enough time trying to feel ready. This is your time. This is your edge. Own your morning, and you will own your life. The way you begin shapes the way you become. When you take full command of your morning, you're not just designing better days. You're reprogramming your identity. You're telling your mind and body, this is who I am now. That's where true change begins. Not when you hope for it, but when you become it. You weren't made to repeat the same cycles. You weren't made to live on autopilot, to follow routines that drain you, to settle for a version of yourself that barely scratches the surface of your potential. You were made to evolve. And evolution starts with ownership, not of everything, just the beginning, just the first hour. That's all it takes to start steering the ship in a new direction. And when you take that hour seriously, the rest of your life starts falling into place. You don't need to fix everything at once. You just need to prove to yourself, consistently, that you are not at the mercy of your old habits. That proof doesn't come from talking. It comes from showing up, from rising early even when your body resists, from doing what feeds your future, not what numbs your present. Every time you do that, your identity shifts, not in theory, in practice. You stop calling yourself lazy, undisciplined, inconsistent, because you've replaced the evidence. You've rewritten the story through action. And here's the truth. Change doesn't happen when your environment changes. It happens when your standards rise, when you stop accepting less from yourself, when you stop negotiating with weakness, when you wake up and choose to lead, not because it's easy, but because the life you want demands it. If you keep waiting to feel ready, life will keep moving without you. There is no perfect mood, no ideal moment. There is only decision. There is only the choice to rise now, tired, imperfect, uncertain, and build yourself from the ground up. Because you're not chasing a version of yourself that lives in the future. You're activating it right now through discipline, through presence, through power. That's why mornings matter. They strip everything away, no distractions, no noise, just you and your truth. Who are you when no one is watching? Who are you when no one is asking anything of you? That's the real test, and that's the real opportunity. Because if you can lead yourself in the quiet, you'll have no problem leading yourself through the chaos. That's where strength is born, not when things go your way, but when you show up anyway. Most people start their day behind on time, behind on energy, behind on focus. And then they spend the rest of the day trying to catch up. But when you own your morning, you stop chasing. You start directing. You step into the day already aligned, already in motion. You move with clarity, not confusion, with presence, not panic. And that shift changes everything. Confidence becomes natural. Decisions become easier. You stop second-guessing yourself because you've already done the hard thing. You've taken responsibility for your mindset. You've built your emotional foundation before the world could shake it. That's not just motivation. That's leadership. That's how you become the kind of person who rises, no matter what. Because you will be tested. Life will come at you with chaos, with failure, with pressure. And if your inner world isn't strong, you'll break. But when your mornings are solid, when you've trained yourself to move with discipline, to think with clarity, to act with purpose, nothing outside of you can control what happens inside. This is your edge. While others react, you prepare. While others delay, you decide. While others wander, you lead. And that leadership is built in silence, in stillness, in the unseen hours before the noise begins. That's where your advantage is created. Not with more talent, not with more luck, but with a mindset that refuses to surrender to comfort. If you've ever wondered why some people seem unstoppable, it's not because life is easier for them, it's because they train their mind to respond with strength. And that training happens before the world wakes up. That's what separates the average from the elite. Not genetics, not fate, but standards, rituals, repetition, relentless self-leadership. You already have the tools. You already have the time. What you need now is the decision to stop living on default. Stop drifting. Stop postponing the life you're capable of living. Claim the hour, build the ritual, rise with purpose, and let your actions speak louder than your doubts. The path is clear. The cost is effort. But the reward is freedom. Freedom from chaos, from hesitation, from regret. And it starts with one choice. Own the morning. Lead yourself first. Elevate everything that follows. You've felt it before. That quiet voice that whispers you were made for more. It doesn't scream. It doesn't demand. It waits. It waits for you to listen in the moments most people ignore. The first light of day, the breath before motion, the stillness before distraction. That voice is your highest self calling you forward, not with promises of ease, but with a challenge. Will you rise, or will you repeat? Every day you rise without purpose, you reinforce a version of yourself that lives beneath your potential. You strengthen habits that hold you back. You say yes to the noise before you say yes to your growth. And slowly, without meaning to, you become a bystander in your own life. Watching time pass. Watching opportunities drift. Watching your power dissolve into routine. But when you choose differently, when you say, "This morning belongs to me," everything begins to shift. You take back the one thing that no one can give you and no one can take from you, authority over your own direction. You are no longer waiting for clarity, you're creating it. You're no longer seeking energy, you're generating it. You stop looking outside for what was always meant to be built inside. You've tried shortcuts, you've waited for motivation. You've told yourself you'll begin when life slows down. But deep down you know the truth, there is no better time than now. Because if you can't lead yourself today, what makes you think you'll be ready tomorrow? Growth doesn't come when it's convenient. It comes when you decide that convenience will no longer be your guide. Your life will not change because you want it to. It will change because you take command of what you do when no one is watching. It will change because you rise before the world can press its weight on your mind. Because you've learned to master the moment most people waste. The first hour, the opening scene, the ground zero of every future outcome you will ever experience. This is not about doing more, it's about becoming more. You can stack your to-do list sky high, but if your mornings are empty of intention, your days will be filled with distraction. It's not the volume of activity that elevates you, it's the alignment of your energy with your purpose. And that alignment starts in the dark. When your alarm sounds and you're faced with a choice, drift into another day of surviving or rise into a new day of leading. That choice shapes everything. Your confidence, your consistency, your belief in yourself. When you rise with discipline, you reinforce that you are not your excuses. You are your standards. You are not your fatigue. You are your focus. You are not your fears. You are your decisions. And that's the most powerful truth of all. Discipline is the ultimate freedom, not restriction, not pressure. Freedom. Because when you master the start of your day, you stop living in reaction to everything that comes after. You have already won the first battle, and that momentum compounds. You speak differently. You think more clearly. You choose more wisely. Why? Because you didn't begin from chaos. You began from command. That's what owning your morning is. It's a personal declaration, a line in the sand, a refusal to let life push you around anymore. Because every time you wake up and say, "I go first," you remind yourself that your goals, your dreams, your purpose, they're not optional. They are required. And they require a version of you that shows up with fire, not excuses. It's not about how early you rise. It's about what you do with the time you have. And if you keep giving that time away, to comfort, to distraction, to hesitation, don't be surprised when your goals feel further than ever. Because the version of you that creates change isn't found in more thinking. It's found in movement, in stillness, in breath, in the quiet, repeated act of self-respect that says, "I matter enough to start strong." That act builds belief. Because belief isn't just a feeling, it's a reflection of repeated action. You don't wait to feel powerful. You act your way into power. You rise, you move, you focus, and the identity follows. Suddenly, you're no longer the person trying to change. You're the person who is change. You've proven it, not with words, but with action. And that proof is what transforms your future. This is how leaders are built, quietly, early, alone, not for show, not for applause, but because they know the first victory of the day is the most important one, and it's not given, it's earned. So earn it. Earn your confidence. Earn your momentum. Earn your evolution. Every single morning, earn it. Not for the world, not for approval, for you. Because you deserve to wake up proud of who you're becoming. You deserve a life that reflects your effort, not your excuses. You deserve to rise, not just from sleep, but into your full potential. And it starts right where you are, with 1 hour, one choice, one decision to lead yourself forward. Own your morning. Elevate your life. The world will catch up. You don't need a new life. You need a new pattern. You don't need more luck, more time, or more chances. You need to take what you already have and do something uncommon with it. Because everything you've been waiting for is already within reach. You've just been handing your power to the wrong habits. You were not designed to wake up defeated. You were not made to begin your day behind. That heaviness you feel isn't because you're broken. It's because you've been starting from a place that was never meant to build you. Waking up without clarity, moving without purpose, consuming before creating, reacting before choosing. These are the quiet habits that slowly steal your fire, but they can be replaced. And it begins the moment you choose to interrupt the cycle. You don't rise by accident, you rise by alignment. When your first hour reflects the life you want, not the one you're trying to escape, everything starts to shift. Your energy begins to match your goals, your emotions begin to follow your mission, and the noise that once overwhelmed you loses its grip because you've built something stronger on the inside. Most people try to fix their results. But results are only the surface. The root is ritual, and rituals are built one decision at a time. Every day, your first few choices form a pattern. That pattern builds a rhythm. That rhythm becomes your state. And your state decides what kind of day, what kind of week, what kind of life you're going to live. You can't wait for change. You can't hope for confidence. You must construct it, layer by layer, with the bricks of consistency. There's nothing glamorous about it. No audience. No spotlight. Just you and the decision to stop living on autopilot. The moment you start your day with intention is the moment you start treating your time like it matters. And when you treat your time like it matters, you start acting like you matter. That's how self-respect is built. Not through self-talk alone, but through self-leadership. You keep your promises. You follow through when it's easier to check out. You build the discipline to say yes to the life you want and no to the one you've outgrown. And over time, your belief system adapts. Doubt weakens. Focus sharpens. Identity transforms. This is how momentum is created. Not by doing everything at once, but by doing one thing with relentless commitment. Owning your morning. Protecting that first hour like it holds the key to everything, because it does. That 1 hour becomes your anchor, your compass, your edge. When others start their day in confusion, you begin with clarity. When they stumble through distractions, you act with direction. When they wait for permission, you move with purpose. That's what separates those who wish from those who win. Not circumstances, not intelligence, but control. Over your mind, over your actions, over the moments that most people ignore. The world doesn't reward potential. It rewards action. And that action has to start early, before fear creeps in, before comparison takes hold, before procrastination sets its trap. That's why the morning is sacred. Because it's the only time the world hasn't shaped yet. You get to shape it. You get to decide what enters your mind, what fuels your body, what direction your energy flows. And once you build that pattern, once you commit to leading yourself first, you stop chasing life. You start attracting it. Because everything you desire, clarity, strength, success, peace, it flows through the person you become in that first hour. You've been through enough days where you felt behind, disconnected, distracted. You know how that story ends. But now you also know the alternative. You know what it feels like to command your focus, to move with clarity, to begin from strength instead of survival. And that version of you is not a peak. It's a baseline waiting to be normalized. The shift is simple, but it's not easy. It requires discipline when comfort whispers. It demands focus when distraction pulls. But what you get in return is a kind of power that can't be faked. A quiet confidence that walks with you into every room, every challenge, every decision. That power is already inside you. It's not something you find. It's something you unlock. And the key has always been the same, how you choose to begin. You don't need to be extraordinary to begin. But if you begin with purpose, you will become extraordinary. Not overnight, but inevitably. Because greatness is not made in bursts. It's built in repetition. It's earned in the hours that no one else sees. And it's forged in the commitment to rise when everyone else sleeps. Own that hour. Guard it like your life depends on it, because the quality of your life does. Start strong, lead yourself, and never look back. The world will try to pull you in 1,000 directions, but if you win your morning, nothing can take your power. Nothing can break your rhythm, and nothing can stop the person who leads from within.